Hello crafty friends and welcome back. I have another layout for Scraptember and today's prompt is multiple photos. So here I'm going to show you a couple of things that I plan on using. I have this new stamp and die set from 49 Market and Sizzix collaboration. I am using papers from the Rust and Rev collection, also from 49 Market. Those light blue colored papers, that was from a really old, I don't think it was called Color Swatch back then, but it was like a color collection, and I think it was, I don't know if it was mint or what it was, but it was one of the very first collections that I purchased, and it was a 6x6 paper pad from this color line, mint or teal or something along those lines. And so then I also pulled out some various Elizabeth craft dies that I have of just file folders and different things that I could die cut and use for layering behind my photos and clusters for this layout. So that's what I'm working on here, that I'm just cutting up papers and then matching them up like 2 or 3 of the same kind, so I have a variety of colors in each of the dies that I used. And then whatever I don't use, that I will just put those in my ephemera file folders and use them on another project. So it's kind of like I'm making my own layers and ephemera here. And just kind of showing some of the various ones, and now I'm actually doing some of the cutting. Those 2 dies were actually an Elizabeth craft that I purchased a while back and hadn't played with much yet, so that was just kind of a first attempt at that. I did not use either of those on my layout, but they will show up eventually. Those were both Elizabeth craft dies. And I've also been trying to make a conscious decision to use more of my dies in layering and such, because I buy them with good intentions and I just don't reach for them like I should. So this was kind of my first attempt at trying to do that. So here I have finished my die cutting, and you can see all the different options I have laying up there on the top. And then now I am using the coordinating stamp set from 49 Market that goes with this notebook die. You can use it with or without. And as you can see, I could have flipped it over to the other side if I did not want to use the stamp set. So now this is a piece of wood veneer that I've had for years. That it is from Studio Calico. Let's see if there's a year on it. 2012 was when this was a product from them. And so these are pictures of my grandson that we had taken for his first birthday. And so I am using the Tim Holtz, what's it called? Glaze, the Tim Holtz Distress Glaze. And so I am using a paintbrush to make sure that I stick with just the one. And then as you can see here, that I have used several different colors of blue and inked up the letters in an ombre. So the Distress Glaze was actually in, I believe, chipped sapphire. And then I also used chipped sapphire and let's see. Yeah, the Distress powder was the chipped sapphire. And then the blue colors included Speckled Egg for the lighter color, Chipped Sapphire, Stormy Sky, and Faded Blue Jeans. So I did that, and then I also did a glaze on a car because when I posted these pictures on Facebook when we first got them back from the photographer, um, one of my friends that I used to work with, that she commented and said I'd buy a car from him, and so I thought that was hilarious. So that is actually what my journaling is going to be on this page. And so here I'm just kind of using a little darker colors, brown, to ink with two different colors. So I did use um, Rusty Hinge, I believe, is the orangish brown color, and then I'm using some frayed burlap on the edges of the bluish papers as well. So here I'm working on some of my layers that I used up some remnants of that blue 6x6 paper, and obviously since it didn't go all the way across, that I just layered them up to just be another design layer of the page. The pictures I did map with one of the foundation's solid colors, and I think it was from last year's travel collection from 49 a Market. And just getting those adhered down and my pictures down. And then I'm going to start adding in some of the layers. So I get my numbers in there, and I decide I only need one square here, and since I didn't have my blue ink pad there handy, that I just scraped the edges and then added the brown. And so here I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put that on top or on the bottom. And there's my little car that I also did the distress glaze on. And adding some layers there at the top. These are all die cut pieces. Instead of using some of the ephemera from the Rust and Rev, that I didn't really want to go with the rusty cars and everything, but I did love the colors of this collection. So the background paper is just the one that didn't have the cars on either the left or the right side. And so here I'm just trying to figure out the layers in this lower right corner here. And I have the scrap piece of paper, and I don't need it to cover the entire inside of the frame because the bottom part of it's going to be covered up there by the other layers that I have. So then I dug into my rub-ons and found this brown paint splotch, I guess you'd call it, and I cut it in half, and I'm going to put one at the top, or the bottom half, and the other at the top, just as another visual layer of the layout here. And now I'm using my Nuvo glue here to get the wood veneer numbers down on the page after I've got all the other layers that are going to go on top of it here. As you can see, my hands are blue from all the inking earlier, so, and even 2 days later I'm doing the voiceover and they're still blue in a few places, so hopefully by tomorrow, one more shower, they should be not blue anymore. So gluing down those clusters there, and as you can see, I have added my journaling there, as I detailed earlier about I'd buy a car from him, because he just has that smirky smirk smile sometimes, and just looking all cute. Of course, I am a little biased, but I think every grandparent is. So there I'm getting the top rub-on added there, and I couldn't find my rub-on tool, so I just used the bottom half of my tweezers to get that rub-on on. Since they go down so easily, it works just fine. So got that all glued down, and then I think I'm gonna come in with some, oh, getting the last bottom part glued down, and then I go back into the rub-ons from Rust and Rev, and I do add a few of those around the different clusters. And then I also am going to add in some of the enamel shapes from there as well. Now I did, the frame was actually from the ephemera pack, and I believe I pull in a couple of words from the ephemera pack as well. One says "My Little Man," and the other one says "Charming and Handsome." And maybe one other one, let's see, like an arrow. So here looks like that's where I went off to grab, yep, some of the ephemera. So there's a little arrow sign I'm going to put there. There is the charming and handsome, and then the one there at the bottom. And then finally, I am going to add some enamel dots, and that is pretty much going to finish things up on this layout. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to leave those down below. If you like what you see, I would appreciate it if you would give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more of what I have created. I do add my close-up shots to Pinterest as well as to Instagram, and you can see some close-up shots here coming up. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time. Bye.